الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. The project of the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Fahd bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud, to extend the mosque of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. The midday sun beats down on the plains and hills that encircle the holy city of Al-Madina Al-Munawwara in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. In summer, the daytime temperature in the region exceeds 50 degrees centigrade. In winter, the weather is wet and cold. Visitors converging on the Prophet's holy mosque to pray within its precincts have had to endure these climatic extremes over the centuries with a minimum of relief. However, this is set to change. For the first time, there's to be a regulated, controllable climate throughout every area of the mosque. This film tells that story. Today, the Prophet's Mosque comprises three distinct areas. The Old Mosque, encompassing the Blessed Rada, and crowned by its famous green dome. King Abdul Aziz extension, built around two large courtyards and completed in 1955. And the recently constructed extension of the custodian of the two holy mosques, overseen by King Fahd bin Abdul Aziz. Outset of planning work on the current extension, King Fahd wished to incorporate an air conditioning system to help regulate the temperature within the Prophet's Mosque and increase the comfort of visitors. Sophisticated analysis had revealed that 45% of the heat generated inside the mosque would be given off by its visitors. 33% would come from the climate of the region, and the remaining 22% would come from equipment and lighting needed to run the building's support services. Each human body generates 1 kilojoule of heat, equivalent to a 100-watt light bulb. This is multiplied many thousands of times over by the worshippers gathered in the enclosed spaces of the Haram. Perspiring bodies in unregulated temperatures would create dangerously high levels of humidity. The air conditioning system therefore needed to be capable of dealing with these factors efficiently by providing a constant, controllable climate in the three different areas of the Prophet's Mosque. The new extension around the existing mosque would increase the size of the building fivefold to 82,000 square meters, enabling the project's engineers to incorporate the air conditioning system into the initial designs of the building. Integrating the climatic control equipment into the two other existing areas of the mosque would be a more challenging and demanding assignment. Successful regulation of the temperature within the Haram was dependent on the enclosure of all areas of the building, including the two large open courtyards of the King Abdul Aziz extension. Likewise, the installation of the ducting, vents and equipment for the air conditioning system had to be done without destroying the tradition and character of the existing mosque. The air conditioning system depends on several key elements. A A central station to house the plant and machinery capable of chilling thousands of gallons of circulating water a minute. Pipes to transport the chilled water to the mosque. Fans to draw fresh air through filters from outside the building into air handling units. These units cool the clean air by drawing it across copper tubing containing the chilled water and are located in a large basement area under the new extension. A network of steel ducting and vents to transport the conditioned air beneath the marble flooring to the columns for diffusion into the mosque. Retractable covers and shading structures to enclose the many open courtyards of the mosque. When closed, these would help maximize the efficiency of the air conditioning system. When opened, they would allow the warm, used air inside the building to escape through the roof. Chilled water is produced on a purpose-built central station in the foothills of the mountains that ring Medina. Located 7 kilometers to the southwest of the Haram, the site houses a chilled water complex to service one of the largest air conditioning systems in the world. Central to the operation are 6 chillers installed in a specially designed building. These are made from high-grade steel to withstand the high compression levels and temperatures generated within the system. Outside the chiller building, 6 fan-cooled condensers were constructed. Installation, each condenser was tested to ensure that the intricate piping network could contain the high pressure needed to operate each chiller effectively. The chillers cool the used water returning from the Haram basement by means of the vapor compression cycle. A volatile liquid flows into an evaporator, where it acts as a refrigerant, circulating around copper tubing containing the warm water. This causes the refrigerant to vaporize by extracting the heat from the water through the copper and cooling it. Now in gas form, the warmed refrigerant is drawn into a centrifugal compressor, where its pressure is raised, which in turn greatly increases its temperature. The compressed vapor then passes to a condenser, where the refrigerant discharges its heat to the surrounding air and turns back into a liquid. This liquid flows through piping and into an expansion valve, which causes the high-pressure liquid to expand to a lower pressure. This reduces its temperature still further as it re-enters the evaporator, enabling the vapor compression cycle to begin again. The water circulating from the chillers to the Haram basement and back is kept in a sealed system. To maintain the high pressure, which could alter as the pipes expand or contract in the fluctuating temperatures, the system can be topped up with mains water held in a tank under pressure by compressed air. The used water returns from the haram basement to the chiller at a temperature of 18 degrees centigrade. Entering the evaporator, the warm water passes through a network of copper tubing 2 centimeters wide, which is exposed to the low-pressure circulating liquid refrigerant with its temperature of 6 degrees. The warmth of the water causes the volatile liquid to vaporize, transferring its heat to the gas and cooling down to the lower temperature of the refrigerant in the process. The chilled water leaves the evaporator to go back to the haram basement, whilst the gas needs to be turned back into a liquid so that the vapor compression cycle can continue. The gas passes into a centrifugal compressor. A 5,200 kilowatt electric motor and gearing drives the centrifuge, which compresses the refrigerant to 19 bar. This raises its temperature to 66 degrees centigrade. The gas is forced outside the chiller building in piping to the 6 condensers. Each one has a surface area of 360 square meters, making this rig the largest air cooling condenser system in the world. 8 fans draw up air around the refrigerant as it passes below, through 3 layers of narrow gauge tubing. The fans turn at 200 revs per minute, and the updraft of air is enough to lower the temperature of the refrigerant to 50 degrees centigrade, just above the ambient air temperature. This causes the gas to lose its heat. By the time it reaches the bottom layer of tubing, the refrigerant has turned back into its liquid form. Still under high pressure, the newly formed liquid passes back into the chiller building and through an expansion valve on the chiller. This expansion lowers the pressure of the liquid, and as it expands, it rapidly reduces its temperature, so that by the time it re-enters the evaporator, it has fallen to 6 degrees centigrade, and the cycle begins all over again. Each chiller can produce 230 litres of chilled water per second. Leaving the evaporator at the desired temperature, after its exposure to the refrigerant, the chilled water supply is pumped back to the haram basement via the utility tunnel. By locating the central station 7 kilometers from the haram, it became necessary to devise a means whereby the chilled water supply could be safely transported from the chiller building to the air handling units in the haram basement, and the warm used water. As the tunnel was constructed, concrete piers were installed to provide permanent support for the underpass foundations. Once the tunnel walls and roof were in place, the road and underpass were reconstructed and reopened on the 20th day of Ramadan, in time for the influx of hundreds and thousands of pilgrims coming to fast and pray in the mosque. After the underpass, the utility tunnel reached the outer limits of the current extension at the walls of the projected 4,000 vehicle underground car park surrounding the haram. Construction of the tunnel continued on both sides of the designated area for the car park. In 1991, the car park area was excavated, and the tunnel engineers were able to lay the water pipes along its lower level for 100 meters. Finally, the water pipes ran through a short section of tunnel which led the last 150 meters into the southwestern corner of the Haram basement. Starting at the central station, the builders of the Al Salam Road encountered and overcame similar obstacles to the tunnel's engineers. A bridge was constructed to carry the expressway over Wadi Akik. Where the blasting for the tunnel had caused excavation to go deeper, walls were built up on both sides to hide the road. By 1993, the Al Salam Road, linking the central station and the Medina Haram, was finished. The current extension to the Prophet's Mosque covers 82,000 square meters and comprises 3 levels: the first floor roof area, the enclosed haram, and the underground basement. All the components of the building and the equipment needed to support the climatic control system were incorporated during the construction phase. Open courtyards, for example, are a key feature of the building's design. As well as giving light and space to its interior, they also fulfill an environmental function by helping to balance the general climate and air circulation within the building. The basement beneath the mosque is the central area where the climatic control system is coordinated and its elements are housed. Chilled water from the central station enters the Haram basement via a 90 centimeter header. It's subdivided into 3 water pump systems for distribution to air handling units in different areas of the complex, serving the old mosque and the King Abdul Aziz extension, the eastern section of the second Saudi extension, and the western section. To meet the climatic control needs of the mosque, the basement houses 143 air handling units. Fresh air is taken into the system at 7 key locations around the perimeter of the second Saudi extension. Drawn in 1.8 meters above ground level through dust and sand filters to clean it, the air is distributed along insulated sheet metal ducts to be processed and deposited in the Haram basement by one of the 47 fresh air type handling units located there. The 86 supply flow type units suck in this clean air straight from the basement area, which acts as a large clean air reservoir. Drawn through the unit by a fan, the air passes through a filtration system before reaching the section containing a copper coil network. As chilled water circulates through the narrow coils, air flows around, and the coolness of the water is transferred to the air. As the air in the unit is cooled to below its dew point, the water in the air condenses. This takes the moisture out of the air and reduces the level of humidity within the mosque. The conditioned air then leaves the unit through a sound attenuator to dampen down the noise, flows inside insulated sheet metal ducting along the ceiling of the basement, and is fed beneath the marble flooring of the haram to the base of each designated column. The column bases are integral to the climatic control system and are finished off in traditional materials so as to complement the design of the existing mosque. Each column base in the new extension has 8 brass grills, which help project the conditioned air into the haram. Is directed upwards through deflectors in the back of each grill so that it doesn't inconvenience worshippers. $1,000,000 litres of mixed air is discharged per second into every area of the haram. 50% is conditioned by the supply flow units, and 50% is clean air drawn from outside the mosque by the 47 fresh air units, guaranteeing a constant supply of oxygenated cool air for every visitor to the haram. This replacement of fresh air helps reduce the levels of airborne bacteria within the mosque, minimizing the risk of infection. As fresh air feeds into the building, warm used air is exhausted via the open courtyards and through the gates and doors around the periphery of the new extension. The second Saudi extension to the Holy Mosque has 27 inner courtyards, supplying natural lighting and ventilation for the comfort of worshippers. Since the courtyards were also designed to integrate with the building's air conditioning system, it was essential that these could be covered when cool air was required inside. To reconcile tradition with modern functional and operational demands, innovative covers for each courtyard were developed that could also be opened depending on the time of day and the season of the year. These sliding domes combine the best features of traditional Islamic design with state-of-the-art technology. The 5,000 components needed for each dome were manufactured in Morocco and throughout Europe, shipped to Medina, and reassembled on site. The custodian of the two holy mosques had stipulated that the air conditioning system be an integral part of every area of the existing haram. Enclosing the two large open courtyards of the King Abdul Aziz extension presented with a major challenge. To achieve this, the company gathered together a team of specialist engineers who studied the brief and came up with a solution that involved the adaptation of the building and its two courtyards. Firstly, the old outside wall was cut to make one continuous space. Then the tie beams were carefully bored through, and the columns lining the existing mosque areas were modified to hold the vents and brass grills, so that fresh, cool air could be propelled upwards and outwards. The floor areas were excavated so that the ducting could be routed from the basement. Air handling units produce fresh air specifically for the King Abdulaziz extension. 4 are sited in the eastern section of the basement, 4 in the west, and 2 in the north. Used air from the mosque is drawn into each unit and mixed with fresh air, cooled, and discharged into the haram. So that the air conditioning could operate effectively throughout the haram, the project engineers devised an innovative means of covering the 2 courtyards. 6 large, freestanding mechanical umbrellas, each one measuring over 300 square meters, were installed in each courtyard. These would provide a shaded area of 54 meters by 36 meters to protect worshippers from the midday sun and support the air conditioning system. The courtyards were closed temporarily and dug up so that the base of each umbrella could be fixed below ground, and the ducting for the conditioned air could be routed from the basement to each stem. Manufactured in Germany and shipped to Saudi Arabia for installation on site, each lightweight structure was built up around a central steel column, composed of 3 sections and opened and closed by an internal hydraulic piston. An electronic control box and an hydraulic pump for each umbrella were installed in the haram basement. Piping for the hydraulic system to drive the piston was run from the pump in the basement beneath the flooring of the courtyard to the base of the umbrella stem. Once the stem, the drive system, and the steel arms to hold the canopy were installed, the engineers could haul the umbrella membrane into position. Woven from a pure Teflon thread, which ensures that the material is resistant to the effects of ultraviolet sunlight and remains color-fast and dirt-free.
الله الرحمن الرحيم. Peace be upon him, prayed, O Lord, behold, I have made some of my offspring to settle in an uncultivatable valley near to thy holy house. Our Lord, let them perform the prayer, and make hearts of men yearn towards them, and provide them with fruits, happily that they may be thankful.
Such was the inception of the Mother of Villages, founded by our Master Abraham, peace be upon him, in a desolate and isolated hollow encompassed by stony hills, when he settled Our Lady Hajar and her son Ismail, peace be upon them, and built the ancient house by the command of Allah. And he turned in prayer towards his most powerful Creator, heart filled with certainty and faith, and beseeched his Lord to make this lifeless desert a place to which the hearts of men yearn, and a focus of devotion. When the Messenger of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, conquered Mecca and purified his sanctuary, the Holy Mosque comprised an open circular plaza at the center of the city, no larger than 2,000 square meters. In 17 Hijriya, after flash floods had damaged the Holy Mosque, the Caliph Umar ibn al-Khattab, may Allah be well pleased with him, repaired the damage and enclosed the courtyard, extending the area by 500 square meters. His successor, Uthman ibn Affan, may Allah be well pleased with him, made a further extension in 26 Hijriya, estimated at 1,700 square meters. The Holy Mosque enclosure was once again enlarged in 65 Hijriya by Abdullah ibn az-Zubayr, may Allah be well pleased with him, increasing the area by 3,300 square meters. In 137 Hijriya, 5,300 square meters were added by Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. The successive extensions of Muhammad al-Mahdi increased the area of the Holy Mosque by 15,000 square meters, and when Dar al-Nadwa was encompassed in the Holy Mosque by al-Mu'tadid al-Abbasi, another 1,300 square meters were added to the structure. Finally, in 306 Hijriya, al-Muqtadir al-Abbasi added a 950 square meter entryway to the Holy Mosque, increasing its total area to 30,200 square meters, the size and layout which was to be maintained for a millennium. It was not until the noble reign of His Majesty King Abdul Aziz al-Saud, may Allah have mercy upon him, that a new extension was contemplated, the first in 1,000 years. The dedication of His Majesty the King to the cause of Islam and the welfare of Muslims was deepened by a prescient understanding that the future would bring an influx of worshippers to the Holy Mosque and inexorably change the ancient city of Mecca al-Mukarramah. Posthumously built, the King Abdul Aziz extension was to transform the Holy Mosque and the surrounding city, beginning on the 4th of Rabi'a Thani 1375 with the development of the Mosque. This sacred track, following the path of Our Lady Hajar between Mount Safa and Mount Marwa, had always been set apart from the Holy Mosque and was absorbed into the city itself. Worshippers fulfilled their sacred rites out in the open and under partial makeshift shading, exposed to the heat, dust and distractions of the marketplace. Thus, the first phase of the project was to enclose the Mazar and incorporate it into the Holy Mosque complex. The Mazar was but the first stage in an extension that was designed as a series of concentric octagons radiating from the remains of the existing structure to expand the area of the Holy Mosque from 30,200 to 152,000 square meters. Construction of the Holy Mosque extension continued for over 20 years. Surrounding districts of the old traditional city were demolished to make way for the landmark construction. While the Mataf was cleared of the old pavilions, including that over the well of Zamzam, which was relocated beneath the Mataf. The removal of these structures expanded its capacity from 3,500 worshippers per hour to nearly 30,000. When the immense structure was finally completed in 1396 Hijriya, 300,000 worshippers could complete their sacred rituals in comfort and with full concentration. But the first Saudi extension coincided with momentous changes in Saudi Arabia and the Muslim world, which brought unforeseen numbers of worshippers to Mecca, placing further strains upon the Holy Mosque and the surrounding city. To cope with these changes, an ongoing program of improvements to the Holy Mosque was undertaken by the kingdom's government, including the replacement of the mataf paving with pure white Thasos marble. This marble possesses special properties which keep it cool to the feet under the most intense heat. In 1406 Hijriya, the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Fahd ibn Abdul Aziz al Saud, may Allah preserve him, ordered the development of the roof of the first Saudi extension to accommodate a further 84,000 worshippers. The custodian of the two holy mosques also ordered the construction of 5 escalator annexes arranged around the perimeters of the holy mosque. These structures, each covering an area of 375 square meters, are designed to supplement ordinary stairways during crowded periods, and most especially to transport the elderly and infirm to and from the first floor and roof areas. Each set of stainless steel escalators, ornamented by etched traditional arabesque patterns, can move 15,000 persons per hour. All these changes, subsequent to the first Saudi extension, increased the capacity of the Holy Mosque to accommodate 400,000 worshippers. Yet the advent of modern commercial transport and the sudden rising affluence of the Muslim world combined to bring numbers of pilgrims to Mecca and Mukarramah that outstripped the most progressive planning. So, on the 2nd of Safar, 1409 Hijriya, the foundation stone for a project designed to extend the Holy Mosque, more than doubling its capacity, was laid by its patron, the custodian of the two holy mosques. May Allah preserve him, for the sake of many future generations of believers, in service of Allah and Islam. The extension of the custodian of the two holy mosques would increase the prayer area of the holy mosque by 76,000 square meters, including basement, ground and first floors and the roof, to accommodate an additional 170,000 worshippers. At the same time, a piazza extending from Al-Masa was to be constructed, followed by a continuous piazza surrounding the remainder of the mosque, covering a combined area of 86,800 square meters, and increasing the capacity of the Holy Mosque complex from 300,000 to 700,000 worshippers. Several years prior to construction, the old Souk Saria adjacent to the mosque had been demolished and cleared to make way for the new extension. In 1409 Hijriya, this space was to become a massive building site. Deep excavation was carried out to accommodate a 2-level basement area extending beneath the entire extension to house auxiliary prayer space and utilities and services for the mosque. Over the same period, other areas around the Holy Mosque were being demolished to make way for the piazzas and other developments. Many Many aging traditional khams and houses were razed and cleared to make way for the Massa Piazza. The location of the Holy Mosque at the very center of Mecca meant that vital services and utilities for both the municipality and the mosque had to cut directly through all areas under construction. At the outset, a major utility and service artery cut through the main extension site and had to be left in place during excavation. These existing utilities had been laid out as needed over a period of many years without a unified plan, forming a jungle of cables, conduits and pipes crisscrossing the site. Many services were diverted, while an integrated sequence of utilities culverts was excavated to form a single consolidated grid. The process of upgrading the surrounding utilities into a unified system under the pressure of a short deadline constituted a major engineering challenge for the builders. So many box culverts had to cross beneath the Massa Piazza that a triangular open-plan basement was constructed to accommodate them and to facilitate maintenance and repairs. This basement was also to house equipment for the air conditioning system which would service the Massa. These culverts were to contain various services and utilities, from sewage and water pipes to high-tension cables and telephone lines, serving both the Holy Mosque and surrounding municipal districts. Sudden seasonal rainstorms have perennially afflicted Mecca with devastating desert floods, which rush to the bottom of the valley where the Holy Mosque is located. These waters would flood the Holy Mosque and wreak havoc in the surrounding city. The installation of an extensive stormwater drainage network has made these floods a thing of the past. This network was further developed during the present extension by 3 new storm drainage systems. One extends from Al-Hajun along Masjid Al-Haram Street, crossing beneath the Massa Piazza. Another system channels water from Shamia and Shubaika away from the new King Fahd Gate. The third system extends 1,175 meters from Al-Adl Square to Hajun, passing through a 560-meter tunnel to the northwest of the Holy Mosque.